Are you looking for peace of mind at your doorstep? Look no further. With the Blink Video Doorbell, your home's entrance is always within your control. Check out the link in the video description to learn more and get your Blink Video Doorbell on Amazon. Your home is in your hands.
We will undoubtedly ask, in years to come, how the issue of defense played no part in the 2024 general election. There was just a momentary spat when the Conservatives boasted that they would increase defense spending from its current level of 2.3% to 2.5% of GDP by 2030, while Labour said they would reach 2.5% when conditions allow. The latter is a meaningless statement, but the Conservatives' claim is hardly a triumph of resolve. And it is extraordinary that the greatly increased likelihood of Donald Trump being re-elected president, following the cruelly public exposure of Joe Biden's incapacity in their so-called debate last week, has still not caused the issue of defense to be raised in our own election. It could hardly be clearer that Donald Trump, returned to the White House, will not just demand that we and other European countries pay much more of the costs of defense against the depredations of the insatiable warmonger in the Kremlin. He actually has no intention of assisting us. Last month, it was revealed that Trump had told the European Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, "We will leave, we will quit NATO. And by the way, you owe me $400 billion, because you didn't pay, you Germans, what you had to pay for defense." It is said this was some sort of bluff, Trump's negotiating tactic to get Europeans to cough up more. Not according to John Bolton, who was his national security advisor. "I was there when he almost withdrew from NATO, and he's not negotiating." His goal here is not to strengthen NATO, it's to lay the groundwork to get out. A fortnight ago, I was at a lunch the leading Westminster think tank policy exchange held for the man whom many tip to be national security advisor in Trump 2.0, Elbridge Colby. The formidably articulate Colby, who served as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense during the first Trump administration, shocked the British military panjandrums present with his strong intimation that he did not necessarily see a Russian attack on a European NATO member as a reason for the US to send its forces into action. He was unmoved as one of the guests pointed out that when the US, after September 11th, sought backing for its invasion of Afghanistan, where Osama bin Laden lurked, all its NATO allies sent troops in support too. Colby, like Trump, regards China as the only serious threat to US interests, and believes all Washington's military strategy should be directed against Xi Jinping's plans for Asian hegemony, Beijing taking control of the archipelago of islands that runs from Japan, via Taiwan, to the southern edge of the South China Sea. So, Colby told us, Europe must be deprioritized, ridiculing what he called the idea we should break our spear in Europe, which is much less important to the American people. Afterwards, when I spoke to him, Colby said, "You need to realize I'm moderate on this, compared with many in the Republican Party." He added, "Your Prime Minister says he will put 2.5% of the UK's GDP into defense. Why not 3.5%? That's what America spends." Fair point. Half a century ago, when there was no war in Europe, 5% of our GDP was spent on defense. Provoked, Ukraine is now the front line. This, at least, has come up in the election debates, after Donald Trump's chum, Nigel Farage, claimed in a BBC interview that the full-scale invasion of Ukraine was the result of Putin being provoked by NATO expansion. In fact, prior to the Kremlin's tanks rolling towards Kiev in 2022, NATO's borders had not moved an inch since Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania joined the bloc in 2004. And Putin had repeatedly stated that their accession posed no threat to Russia's national security. They will not feel so secure themselves, now. If Sir Keir Starmer becomes PM on Friday, he will be flying to Washington 4 days later for a NATO summit marking the 75th anniversary of its founding. Over it will loom the encroaching shadow of Donald Trump, and Europe being told that when it comes to Russia, deal with it yourselves. If that happens, here's the question not raised once in this election. How does Labour propose to pay for a generational increase in defense spending? Sir Keir Starmer has never given a straight answer to the question, why did you say that Jeremy Corbyn would be a great Prime Minister? He has also struggled to explain why he